Imagine ending the war to end all wars and setting the stage for an even bigger conflict just 20 years later. How did that happen? In the next 7 minutes, we'll unravel the tangled goals of Clemenceau, Lloyd George, and Wilson, dive into the famous 14 points, and explore 3 competing theories for why the Treaty of Versailles failed to bring lasting peace. Stay tuned, because I'll share which theory I think is the most convincing, and I want to know yours in the comments. Let's dive in. November 1918. Guns fall silent on Europe's battlefields. The Allies and Germany agree to an armistice, and the Paris Peace Conference begins in January 1919. This gathering is supposed to codify a peace unlike any before. Leaders promised a new world order, but something went terribly wrong. Was it bad diplomacy, conflicting agendas, or a flaw built into the treaty itself? And who ultimately bears the blame? In just a moment, we'll meet the 3 main architects and see how their very different goals clashed at Versailles. But first, smash that like button if you love deep dives into history's biggest turning points. On one side, France's Georges Clemenceau demanded harsh reparations. His homeland was devastated, and he wanted Germany to pay dearly. Britain's David Lloyd George, caught between punishment and pragmatism, sought to weaken Germany just enough to secure peace, but not so much that British trade suffered. And then there was US President Woodrow Wilson. Wilson arrived with a moralist vision: eliminate the root causes of war, not humiliate a vanquished foe. His rallying cry, peace without victory. In January 1918, Wilson unveiled his 14 points, an idealistic blueprint. First, open covenants of peace, openly arrived at. No more secret treaties. Next, absolute freedom of the seas, elimination of trade barriers, and general arms reduction. And most explosive of all, self-determination for every nation under imperial rule. Points 6 through 13 proposed redrawing Europe's map, new nations born out of old empires. Finally, point 14, a League of Nations where disputes would be settled. So, did each leader see their vision realized? Clemenceau got his reparation demands. Germany was forced to pay astronomical sums. Wilson technically got a League of Nations, but self-determination? Sort of. Poland, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and a handful of African and Middle Eastern territories were reborn. But colonial powers held tight to India, Vietnam, and others. In short, the losers have to give up their imperial possessions, but the winners do not, which was pretty much consistent with Clemenceau's passion for a treaty that would punish the losers. Historians generally point to 3 big reasons Versailles failed. Theory 1. The weakness of the League of Nations. The League was Wilson's crown jewel, but ironically, Wilson's own country never became a member because the US Senate rejected the treaty. Without American muscle, the League lacked both financial resources and enforcement power. Could it have stopped Hitler? Perhaps, if America had joined. Theory 2. Harsh treatment of Germany. German civilians had believed in Wilson's 14 points. Instead, they got Article 231, the War Guilt Clause. Millions felt humiliated and impoverished. That resentment paved the way for extremist movements, Hitler's rise chief among them. Theory 3. Germany wasn't thoroughly beaten. And here's a less obvious argument, but one worth considering. that the mistake wasn't that the Allies were too harsh on Germany, but that they weren't harsh enough. Germany wasn't truly defeated on its own soil. Allied forces never marched into Berlin. The Armistice was signed before that, largely because Germany believed they were going to get a peace that was based on the 14 points, not one that made them assume all the blame for the war. And this mattered, because years later, Hitler told his followers that Germany had actually been winning the war and was betrayed by corrupt politicians. It was a lie, but it worked. Why? Because most Germans had never actually seen the front lines collapse, like they would have if they'd kept fighting much longer. Their newspapers had been censored, forbidden to publish any bad news from the front lines. They believed they'd been sold out, not beaten. So perhaps the mistake was not breaking the promises of the 14 points, but the fact that they were ever made in the first place. There you have it, a diplomatic Frankenstein stitched together from conflicting ambitions. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. Which theory do you think holds the most weight? And if there's another theory you've read about, please share it below. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who loves the real story behind the headlines. Until next time, keep questioning and keep exploring history's turning points.